Hello and welcome. My name is Stephanie Benedetto, and welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, as we like to call it, is a nonprofit organization that is committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world. And today, our very special guest presenter is Mr. Wyn Morgan. I'll tell you a little bit about Wyn. He's a three principles coach and business training consultant based in Windsor, UK. His 25 years of developing people and organizations and and private organizations changed dramatically since 2012 when he learned about the three principles. His work takes him worldwide, coaching individuals, running group programs, and mentoring other coaches and practitioners. He loves to deepen his own grounding, then seeing that it pays dividends in life-changing impact within the people and organizations he works with. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of my own personal introduction to Wyn. I have had the pleasure of working with him as a coach for over a year, and it's been one of the most transformative years of my life. So that introduction, what he just said, is absolutely true. And I'm very excited to hear this presentation today, which is entitled, Who Am I Before I Think of Me? Take it away, Wyn.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. I was just saying to Steph before we started, I've never known this little about what I'm going to say before I start. And part of that was intentional. And a part of it is, well, I don't know, maybe I could have thought about a few extra things, but I haven't. So here we are. I did say in the description that I forgot I even wrote, but Steph just read it out to me like 5 minutes before we started. I said something about we'd all take a fresh look at ourselves and see what is new for us right now in this next hour we've got together. About the deepest part of ourselves before we think of ourselves. And I'm going to share a quick story as to why I think this question matters. Because I'm sure for some people, or a question that might pop into all of our minds is, yeah, well, so what? This sounds a bit too woo-woo. What's the relevance of this to my life? So what? Etc. So I'm going to share a story of a conversation that I had with somebody back in 2018, I think it would have been. And I was on a group program as one of the staff members, one of the speakers. And when it wasn't my turn to be div, part of everyone's job as the kind of like the staff there was to make sure everyone else, the 60 or 70 people in the room who were there for a week, that they were all doing okay. And I noticed one person in the middle of the week seemed to be a little bit off in her mind. And so at some point, I think during a break, I went up and said, "How you doing?" And she said, "Yeah, not so good, actually." And I suggested, or I offered the chance that her and I could just go for a chat while the next session was going on, because it felt like that was the right thing to do. So we went for a chat in the kind of like an ante room just off the main room, which was actually a chapel space next door to the main kind of auditorium in this place in London. And we just sat there for a while. And when it seemed right, I said, "So, what's up?" And she said that she'd been feeling really insecure yesterday and that day, the day before and that day, and how much that was on her mind. And it really looked to her as if that was something to fix, the insecure thinking that she had. We talked probably another 10 minutes or so, and then I had this thought about all the things we think about ourselves, and all the different things that we can think about ourselves, and all the other things that we sometimes do. So, the weird example I had is last night I had carrots for dinner. And I said this out loud. Last night I had carrots for dinner. But I wouldn't go around telling people I'm a carrot eater. But I would go around saying I'm insecure. And what's the difference? And the person I was sitting with as she was listening to this kind of like slightly weird comment and interesting metaphor to say the least, she just burst into laughter and a few little relief tears. It's just like, this doesn't mean anything, does it? That I think this about myself now and again. And I just went, no, not really. I mean, we don't define ourselves, brah, by the toppings we like on pizza, by our favorite animal. We don't define ourselves by any of the other preferences, and I would suggest, or anything else that we may eat or not eat. And I would say that something as temporary as that in our life is the same thing about what we think of ourselves, with the exception of what we think of ourselves seems to grip us because of the feeling it evokes. And to me, anyway, the part in the introduction that Steph just read out before her own personal spin on it about what changed for me was for me to know that my feelings aren't an indicator of truth. My feelings are an indicator of what my head is saying in that precise moment, what my thought babbling system is saying in that precise moment. What I'm thinking is what I'm feeling. It doesn't give a true reflection on my life, my world, the people in it, or anything else, or my value as a human being. It has nothing to do with it. It's just telling me what's going on in my head. And to me, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to say next is true, but I don't know if I'll change my mind at some point in the future. I think if any human being feels down about themselves and has a low opinion of themselves, that must be an illusion. Must be an illusion. Can't be factual. Okay, yeah, we make mistakes being human, which is being human. Giving ourselves a hard time for being human doesn't seem to make as much sense to me as it did for the first 40 odd years of my life when I didn't know anymore. I didn't know any better than that. I just used to think that what I thought was really important, and therefore it was gospel. What I thought was true. Now I realize what I'm thinking can be all kinds of things. I'm living in most of the time in my imagination, especially when I'm having a downer about myself, which can happen. So going back to the title, who am I before I think of myself, to me is a heck of an invitation for all of us right now, for you watching and listening right now. Just to notice what not what's temporary in your own thinking about yourself, or you're thinking of other people, what might be permanent, what's unchanging. Because if something is temporary, then it really can't be us in the same way as I'm not what I ate for dinner last night. And in this conversation I had back in London in 2018, then we don't define ourselves as carrot eater, but we define ourselves as some other things that we think about ourselves, and that's just a very vivid imagination. So who am I before I think of me? The paradox in the question is, It's darn nigh impossible to give an answer to that because the only thing that I can come up with is some things I think. And thought is what I use to form words, and that happens in my mind before those words come out and before you hear them and decode them in your own mind. But the best I've got right now, and this is just a right now point, who am I before I think of me? What's permanent, not temporary? What's that deeper, authentic self before the mask that I can sometimes believe that's true? To me, the one thing that absolutely seems to make sense is the energy of all things, part of the energy of all things. A random group of subatomic particles that's arranged in this incredibly sophisticated way that has the energy of life flowing through it and is aware that it's alive for a certain period of time. And before I get too heady, the next thought that just popped into my mind is how freeing that is to not have to live into the story of who I think I am, or live up to the story, or live down to the story of who I think I am, or the story I think other people have on me, which I've occupied my mind with a lot and still do. But it's so refreshing to not have to buy into that, to just take a moment and see before that what's there. And the reason I think that that matters is I'm then free to play the game of life as opposed to trying to get life right. Because I tried that for a long time, thinking about what is the right way to live, what's the wrong way to live. And all that got me was my consciousness is in a vice. It just like, it really brought me, there wasn't this freedom and expansiveness that can be there when I'm not in the story of me. I wanted to make this as interactive as possible. So I'm delighted we've got, what have we got here? 34 people um, right now. So welcome. Thank you. And Steph, is it okay that we start bringing people in, you included,
Yes.
with questions, comments, and
Yes, let's do it.
observations? Without any specific question from me, but if there's just anything that occurs to you, any points you'd like to bring up or questions to ask.
And it would be helpful for us, since there are quite a few people on this call, if you could raise your digital hand, and that way both Wyn and I can see you and call on you and ask you to unmute.
And if someone doesn't know how to raise their digital hand because they think they've only got biological ones, how does one do that, Steph?
I believe, and I'm trying to, I need to brush up on this. There is a button, it's under, if you click on, I think, oh gosh, somebody's going to have to help me. Where is it now? Tom knows where it is. Tom, where was it?
Yeah, well, if you go down to the React button,
Yeah.
well, click on that, then you'll see a thing to raise hand. And since I have my hand raised, I guess I'll talk. Hi, Wyn. Nice to see you.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you too.
Yeah, just I was out today and I was waiting for the bus and where insights often happened. And there's not really a question, or I don't even think a point to this, but I was just really a little in awe of the fact that, like in my life, I've spent so much time worrying or being afraid of the future, etc. And there's just something different now. I can have very similar fears and feelings, um, dread, disaster, mild disappointment, whatever, the whole range. And it's such a beautiful mystery because I have no idea what changed. It just feels different. And that is such a gift. And what's also kind of a gift about this is sometimes when I think, and there's nothing wrong with this, but sometimes when I think I know what I'm talking about, or I know what to say to kind of teach or help other people, I just realized I have no freaking clue. But it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing and a gift and a miracle. So I don't know, just anything you have to relate to that or in response.
I have a theory that we love mysteries, and also that we love to solve them. And sometimes I think a mystery is really cool to just be and remain a mystery, including what that was all about. And just be in awe and enjoy that, I think. Because I know for me, I can spoil a moment by thinking too hard and trying to figure it all out. At the same time, here's what occurs to me. The feeling of mental freedom and emotional freedom and psychological freedom to me must be closer to truth. Because I just think, in one way of describing what I think, who I am before I think of me, and who we all are before we think of ourselves, is pure consciousness. I don't think that there's, yeah, okay, it's consciousness playing through energy and matter, as far as we're aware. In that pure consciousness, there is no kind of space for anything other than freedom. In my opinion, that's how it looks and feels to me anyway. It just resonates with a little truth there. And I like to kind of then move towards that feeling and move away from the analytical thing that I know can be helpful for lots of things. Like it'd be really helpful if my car broke down, or helpful to figure out what's happening on the roof of my house. But regarding figuring out how to live a happy, contented life, not so great. So that's what came to mind, Tom. I don't know if anything else came up with you. You were sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks. Just it's nice being here with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to call on Richie? Shall we? Do you see his hand is raised?
I see his hand. I also saw other people's hands go up and then go back down, and I'm wondering if that was them playing with the how does this work? Or it was I want to ask something, but now I'm too shy. So you can keep your hand up if you've got a genuine question. In the meantime, here's Richie.
Hi, Wyn.
Hey, good to
Nice
meet you.
nice to meet you. I've been a listener to you and Kate for some period of time now on your podcast. So nice to talk to you in the flesh. I love what you said. Pardon?
Thank you.
Oh, I love what you said about the vice, thinking that there's a right way to do things. And well, I could so relate to that. That one really hit me. Yeah, that there's the freedom of being, and then there's well, there's a right way to do this, and I should know the right way, and all the pressure that that would bring on. And then oh, Gail's back. Gail had her hand up before me, and I was looking forward to hearing Gail. I was on the weekend program that we had, and Gail was the
Yeah,
star. She was
she
really.
was. She was.
So I just had one other thing. When you said looking at life as a mystery, I thought, well, for me, I like figuring things out. I like to understand stuff. And what's occurred, I've been around the principles now for about 3 years, and it's like the base of knowledge that I was trying to understand from was very limited. And so I was kind of always getting frustrated because I couldn't understand things to not know it. And now that I have a glimpse of, if I just get quiet, the answers might come, not on the time frame that I always would want, but they come. So I really like that. Thanks for doing this webinar. It's good to have an interaction. I love being on your podcast when you guys say that it's going to be moments of silence. So cool.
Yeah.
So thank you. I don't know if
Cool. Thank you,
you have
Rich.
any comments about that understanding business and what I said about.
Yeah, I do. Well, I can relate. Um, I've yet to meet somebody who was slower on the uptake about this principle stuff than me. And it was for that reason.
Hmm.
It was for that reason. I was really thinking hard to figure it out, and I had no idea that that was exactly what was in my way. And I think it took at least 4 years for me to drop a little bit of that. I'd have insights, right? I'd see things and I'd be far happier, but I didn't have a clue what was going on, and I'd be in my head a lot. And then a quiet mind. I mean, it's such a lovely thing to have. The bit about the quiet mind that I didn't see until relatively recently, certainly in the last 4 years, I think. So this is like 10 years into me kind of starting to learn a bit about the principles. It took me 10 years to respect a quiet mind.
Hmm.
And I thought a quiet mind was just something to do on a day off. I hadn't realized that a quiet mind is where the best of me comes up. The deepest part of me, the best idea generator, the best listener,
Hmm.
the deepest form of curiosity and love, compassion, and connection is in a quiet mind. And I'd say, even in the last 6 months, I've seen an awful lot more about that, about maybe the only thing I could ever attend to is how much ease I have on my mind.
I love it. What I'm noticing is that when I don't have a quiet mind, I tend to be judgmental of that.
That'll quieten it down, right? That'll work.
It's taken me a while to see that, and I don't always see it. And so, yeah, one of my favorite Sid quotes is, and I'm gonna mess it up, but if we could only not be afraid of our feelings, that that's always been that phrase has always been attractive to me. And I'm seeing more and more how I'll have a mood, a sensation or something, and I'll say, I don't like this. I mean, I'm basically doing some version of I don't like this, not realizing how that judgment of what's my experience is not helping me to be free or to be quiet in any way.
Well, on the one hand, yes, and on the other hand, if it was seen as the feeling of judgment is more noise,
Mm.
And more noise is a signal of wrong direction. Then it can be a really lovely, wise feeling to have. Like if parking sensors, and when your backup thing, when you reverse, and then there's the little beep, 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 beep. It goes faster and loud. Well, I don't know if it goes louder. It certainly goes faster until it goes a solid sound. That's the same as our mind, but we think something else about it. It's a sign to stop thinking. And if we saw it as that, geez, it wouldn't just be free. We'd just drop out of it all the time. But it's so easy to misinterpret a wise signal for one that tells us to speed up.
Thank you, Wyn.
Thank
was
you. Really good to meet you.
Good to meet you. And now I'd like to introduce Gail.
Like I
Right.
need an introduction.
Hey, Gail. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Wyn. I have to admit that I have no idea who you are.
That's okay. Most people don't.
I'm brand new to this, but I signed up to be after the weekend. I signed up to be a member yesterday, and then I went, "Oh, there's something tomorrow." Click, and it was you. So
Welcome.
when you said, like, who am I before I think of myself, I thought of this thing. I have a lot of anxiety, and so I have this thought that I have a lot of anxiety. I'm going to change that. So then I remember somebody saying to me, say this to yourself. I wonder what my next thought's going to be. And when you do that, you can't think of it. It's just blank. It's just blank. So when you said, who am I before I think of me? It was just blank. There was like no good feeling or insights or anything. It was just blank. And I thought about all the years I meditated, and it would just be blank. And people would say, "Well, you didn't have any thoughts." And I said, "No, it was just blank. It was just like this dark blank." And so I didn't like that. I thought, well, I want before I think of me to be what you said, to be God, to be mine, to be. So anyway, it got me a little upset. I got upset because I thought, well, if it's blank, I don't like that it's blank. And when I've been like you, totally intellectual, trying to understand all this stuff for so long, not that long, but I've only been doing it for like 4 months, 5 months. So, but in response to my issues, and then whenever I'm like quiet and I finally get a quiet mind, I'm laying there, finally get a quiet mind, I get like nothing. And then I think, well, that isn't necessarily when insights come, but I expect it now that my mind is quiet. I expect that I'm going to have this insight, So I get a little mad and nervous when I have a quiet mind. So
Yeah.
that's a little complicated, but
I don't think it's complex, but I think it's awesome that you notice that about yourself. First of all, so great to know that. But here's what I think, though, right? Am I okay to just share what I think?
yeah, obviously.
And there's no judgment here, okay? I wonder what it would be like if you stayed blank longer. Because if you stay blank and then you get upset really quickly, or you get sad or frustrated about it, well, you're not blank for long. Because it certainly gets filled really quickly with another thought. I don't like this, or shouldn't it be quicker? I wonder what it would be like to just hang out in a blank space for a bit. And I honestly do not know what you'll notice. I have no idea. But given the fact that I think you know what it's like to have a busy mind,
Yeah, that I
I
know.
wonder what it would be like. Yeah, I wonder what it'd be like for you to hang out in a blank one for a bit longer than you've given yourself permission for right now.
Okay. What I found phenomenal about the weekend was that I actually, had some good feelings. It was like, who's that? That's what I was going like, because I've been really bad for a very long time. So I was like, and then they would point back to me, whoever responded to me, they said, that's you, that's you, that's you in there. That's not me, that's you. You're just responding. So now, of course, I want to have all these good feelings all the time, but
I know.
even though I just was yelling at the HP printer people before I came onto this thing, but so the blank is weird to me, but I see what you're saying. So stay blank, but don't expect. See, there's an expectation before my blank mind that I'm going to have an insight. So I already have a thought before I go blank. So then realizing that and letting that go, and then just laying in the blank. Somebody had a story yesterday or the day before, about some kid who, I think it was Dickens, that just laid on his bed until he had a good feeling when he got up. But being in the blank. Okay, I'll try that. Thank
What you
you.
just shared also reminded me. You're welcome, Gail. Thank you. Really good to meet you. I'm glad we had a chat, having seen you pop up a few times over the weekend.
Yeah,
And
a
in the
few.
recordings, I was able to
I
see.
got like the most raised hand raised for the weekend,
Did they sent you the prize yet?
No, I haven't gotten anything.
Oh,
Son of a
you need
bitch,
to have a
what the
word with
heck,
someone. There must be a surprise. Even
Must
if
be
it's the
some,
sore elbow prize, right? Because it's just like, this has been up so
right,
long.
yeah.
But it reminded me of the first conversation I had with someone today. And they'd come to me due to anxiety, and they'd explained how much they felt anxiety crippling, anxiety pretty much every day for quite a while, like years. And today, and she noticed that things are different, and I was kind of amazed as to how different they are after about 3 chats, 3 conversations. And today we got onto this question of what does it take to feel good? And then we just went, okay, had ideas, and then she settled down and she went, it takes nothing. It takes nothing to feel good. It takes thought to feel something else. It takes mental, I don't know, mental energy to feel something else. I find that an extraordinary thing to know.
Mm.
And a lot of us, we've built our life upon doing things and getting things in order to feel good without realizing that feeling good comes for free. And then, knowing that, we get to do anything we want in life, knowing that as the default, the feeling good is always there.
Mm.
That, for me to say that out loud and know that's true, I find a phenomenal thing, because I have not thought that for the majority of my life. But I know it's true for me and you and everyone.
Yeah, it's an amazing statement, and I hear people keep saying it, and so I'm
You
going to
feel
believe
it.
it. It's true.
You feel it though right now, yeah?
No, right now I'm a little nervous.
But before I said that, you settled down. I saw it. Before I made you think about what you were thinking
Yeah, that's
about or think
right.
about how you
Before
were
you made
feeling.
me think.
Yeah, I know. How dare I?
So tell me just, I don't want to take up too much time, but what did she say again? She said that it takes energy to have thought.
Well, the question I asked was, what does it take to feel good?
Yeah, what does it take to feel good? She said nothing.
Yeah, which to me is absolute truth.
That's what Harry told me the other day.
Yeah.
He said, Gail, happiness is free. Just take it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Gail. You're welcome.
I'll put my hand down now.
Kristen had her hand raised and she's coming right back. Needed to move for a moment. I could share something a little bit while we're waiting for Kristen. When you ask that question, who am I before I think of me? I have an experience that's not dissimilar to what Gail says of like, whoa, there's nothing there. But it also has a feeling for me of this aliveness, like, holy smokes, I have no idea what that is. It feels like I don't know. Today, I had this thought this morning of, wow, there's so much I don't know. And it felt so good. It was like, here's the little bit that I know. And I don't know is the mystery. And it had such a beautiful feeling. And the same feeling that I felt when you shared the question that you asked of this woman today, what does it take to feel good? And she said, nothing. And that's the answer. Who am I before I think of me? Nothing and everything and all the things. And that's amazing to feel. And I cannot for a second understand what that means at all. And it's so great. It's like, it makes me feel high. And I'm completely sober, other than maybe a little bit of chocolate that I had today. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that. It's amazing. The hands are going up now.
Hands are going up. So nice to see so many people I know as well. Rika's next. Hey, Rika.
I win.
Hi.
It comes into my mind that the answer for me of this question is I'm blank. And what means I'm blank? I'm open. I'm open for fresh things, for fresh experience. So there is no judgment in that moment.
That's awesome. I can tell what that does for your feeling. Yeah.
That comes into my mind when she shared. That's what I want to share.
for someone who's been enjoying lots of new experiences, Rika, I think that's lovely to notice again.
Yeah, because I'm on a roller coaster. It's so crazy, but I feel really, really good. But it's such a roller coaster today and in the last 3-4 days. But it feels really good. It's so crazy. And I think it's a little bit like between all the thoughts that comes into my mind is I'm really blank. And that's why I'm able to manage all the things like I'm doing right now. I think I'm able to react in a fresh way every moment, every new situation. Right now it feels great, so I enjoy it so long it takes before my mood goes down, so crash, boom. But that's not yet, so it's okay right now. Thanks.
Hey, bitte schön, Rika. It reminded me of a conversation someone said to me this week. Someone said to me, well, given everything that's going on, I feel really great, and it feels mad that I feel really great because I should really feel bad about all these things that are happening right now. Somebody said that to me this week. I'm not going to say who, but it's just a really good thing to recognize that the step change in understanding of what goes on within us and what we make up. Dankeschön, Rika. Dankeschön. Thank you. Divyesh next. Hi, Divyesh. Now,
Hey,
Divyesh has got his camera off because I know it's early morning in Australia.
I tell you what it is, Wyn, 6:44 a.m. So it's time to get up. But I'm still in
Time to
bed.
get up. Well, good morning to you. Feels
Morning,
like we're
Wyn.
time traveling. Happy
It's all,
Wednesday.
yes, we are in Wednesday, and it's lovely. And yeah, just because of the time differences, we have two lots. One with the UK. I remember with you at one point it was 9 hours, and now with UK is 11 hours ahead, and US East Coast is 6 hours. I mean 16. So it makes it a little bit more bearable than 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and all that. So uh, thanks a lot. For always a joy to listen to you and hopefully reconnect again. And I'll hopefully reach out to you. Um, you know, your topics with a very pithy, quiet, laden, wise way you bring this out. And I'm sitting just before I entered this call, I had got up to get ready to sort of hook in and listen. And it was as if the mind was doing push-ups, like as soon as you get up, the roll of worry, rumination, anxiety, projection had started. I went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, let's sort it out in the head. Let's sort out everything like reassurance, habitual thinking exercise, except in my case, it can be done every 10 minutes or every half an hour, like a OCD kind of reassure in the head. Not in reality, I'm here. And what it had done, an observation, half objective and half indulging in it, is a deadening of my life. There's a dull thud at the bottom of everything. Now I could go and Google and probably call it depression or depressive state or some crap. I don't know, whatever or the other. But as if I were to sum up, what are you doing? I'm saying the same insecure thinking, focusing on that every 5 minutes, relieving it of it every 5 minutes in the head, in the personal thinking, and then thinking the commentary on the commentary, which is, all right, you've been here 4.5, 5 years in the three principles, this deeper intelligence, this, that, look for the quiet mind. This, okay, I'm getting the gist of it. You don't want to add thinking on thinking, as you said very clearly, or And it's just, is that OCD hook? Has anybody else experienced this? I'm calling it the OCD hook. Yeah, thanks, Wyn. I'm I'm calling it the OCD hook. And Tom, because you know, like when you beautifully say, Tom, about worrying, anxiety, future, this. But it's like some people think a lot and then they let it go, and then 2, 3 days they're in a lovely, off with the butterflies. My butterfly comes with an anchor of thought, of a heavy feeling, and in there sometimes there's a little whisper of a quiet mind, but I still haven't figured out. Let go of the OCD thinking and be okay, and know that any decisions can come from that whisper. I was speaking too much because it's sort of like tumbling out of my head. So sorry, Wyn, but thanks. Thank
Nothing
you.
to apologize for. Well, look, I don't know. Here's what comes to mind, given what you
Mhm.
just said. No, here's what I noticed for me. How much thinking isn't a problem. No such thing as a problem. No such thing as blame. And my judgment and self-judgment has zero foundation on truth. Because all that's happening is thought looks really real to human beings. The end. There's no hook. There's no butterfly that, that is grabbing you down. OCD's thought too. All of that stuff is a melee of what the human imagination can do inside a human mind.
Mhm.
Or another way of saying it, there's nothing there that needs fixing.
Mhm.
And when I saw that for myself, it made less sense for me to think about how am I doing? How much thought do I have? Is that the right amount of thought? Am I judging? All of that made less sense when I realized I was human and that was it. And then the noise became more background as opposed to, over time, the noise became a bit more background than front and center. Because it was just, that's just noise.
Mm.
Humans.
And ca- can I ask, when then once you've had a realization that it's
Yeah.
noise, it's just a traffic in the background kind of thing. Do you trust your decision making? I'm going to use that word which has come to my head, which is process, given the traffic in the background, or or is there another more quieter space arising, or from where it'll be a better decision?
Well, I see that a little differently, and this is just what I think right now. I
Mhm.
don't think I can make a wrong decision.
Mm,
I don't think life's about getting right and wrong. I just don't. I just think it's here to be experienced. And since I had that idea, and I'm not saying it's fundamentally true, I'm just saying that that's a realization that I had not that long ago, 18 months ago, maybe 2 years. I've realized that I'll take decisions, but there's an awful lot less of me involved in making them. I decide things all the time. I decided what tea to have for this call. You might think, well, yeah, but that's just trivial. Yeah, but I don't know if there are that many more important things than that that require my active computer brain to be involved in things. Regarding being happy in a contented life, I think it's far, it, I think decisions just occur more than they require mental horsepower.
mm.
Not saying I'm right, it's just how it looks to me today.
Nah, thank you. I don't want to take much time. And one thing you just said now in your 18-month-old realization about there's no such thing as a wrong decision. In the old ancient wisdom in India, I mean, my original background, I mean, is a similar thing. It's like there is in the Gita, there's no such thing as a wrong decision. It's a friendly universe. And when you do make that decision, see how you can, with through realizations, make it the right one anyway. You see, I mean, so just to give you a little twist, and thank you.
Well, that is an interesting way to look at it, because who's to know if we make a wrong decision that looks like it's wrong today, something we
Yes,
did yesterday, it might turn out to be awesome in a week's time. We've no idea.
and in that, you just remove the need for regret. What do you just say?
I know.
Thank
Regret
you.
makes no sense. I'll do it, but it makes no sense.
Thanks a lot,
Oh,
Wyn.
you're welcome. Hey, good to speak with you again.
I hope
From
to keep in touch
yeah,
again.
do it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I will. I will. Thanks, Wyn.
So from Wednesday morning, we go to Tuesday morning. Kristen, you're next.
Okay,
Hello.
I am at a coffee shop, so if it's too loud, I won't answer my question. I mean, I won't ask my question. Say my comment. How is it? Good. Okay. I wrote out this question, but I feel like I've kind of come to an understanding of it by all the other people who've talked, but I'll say it anyway. I kind of have a quarrel with the word intuition because I feel like it bases, for me, my understanding in the past, is it based off of that there is a right way to live, right? If you get quiet enough, you will find that intuition and you will make the right decision. And that was like my definition of intuition. And I feel like it has caused me so much stress in my life because, like everyone else was saying before me, it's like, okay, I'm going to get quiet and I better get that answer. I better get that wisdom. I better get that insight. Or what is it? What is it? I'm searching for it instead of just realizing that there is no right or wrong answer and I can make the best. I can make a decision in the moment and I don't know how it's going to turn out. And that's just so much freedom to me. It's just like the most liberating thing ever instead of thinking that there's something that I'm missing or I need to find. So that's it, I guess. Well,
So you said that you were going to answer your question, and you did.
yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, I want to clarify something I just said, and you reminded me of it. There are things in life that are, so in my opinion, there's a difference between fear and danger. And I think things like intuition are great when it's danger. But when it's fear, which is the mental construct of something that isn't happening right now. So, I could be scared of flying, and I'm not flying till Friday. And today, here is Tuesday, then that must be a construct. There's no decision to be made in a mental construct, because there's nothing there that requires any wise or intuitive gut reaction to make things okay. In the moment, intuition, I think, is really cool in the way that you just described it. But I can't think about it because that's not intuition anymore. And when people say, well, is it wisdom or is it not? I say, well, as soon as you're asking that question, it isn't, because that's analytical. And that's when you know it, right? The feeling isn't the same. And then you get this feeling of expansiveness and freedom in the way that you just described, which is really cool. Nice hat, by the way. Good to see you. Looks like David, unless Kristen, there's more from you. David, over to you.
Nope.
Thanks, Wyn. It was interesting, actually. I was thinking in the first half of your talk and the questions, I was thinking, do I have a question? Do I have a comment? And I couldn't think of anything. And I finally decided, oh, I don't need to talk anyway. And I just listened, and then something popped in my head to share, which is quite a useful insight for me already.
That's
As soon as
amazing.
I gave up trying. So just a little share really pertaining to your original question, because I remember when I was at university doing my master's degree, I went through a tough time, and it was the point where, you know, I was coming to the end of it, and then it was like there felt like to me a lot was riding on it in terms of what career I'm going to do after this, and what are my next steps, and am I going to pay back all the debt? And at the same time, I was trying to close everything down, and there was a lot of pressure I felt, and I even at one point went to see a counselor, and I remember saying to the counselor, I came to do this master's degree in America, and I had this kind of expectation that you go to a place like that, university, to find yourself. And I said to her, I feel like the more I learn, the more I lose myself. And I remember specifically saying to her, I feel like I knew myself better when I was 4 years old. And how that pertains to your question is, I probably didn't do a lot of thinking about myself when I was 4 years old. You know, I was just doing what a 4-year-old does. And I probably wasn't too anxious at that time. And I learned to be so after that point. And I didn't know I didn't know why I said that. And then I think until this call, I didn't really fully know why I said it, what it meant. But I put the piece together with your introduction and what everyone else has said, and I kind of it has a greater depth of significance to me. So I just wanted to share that for whatever it was worth, and thank you.
It's terrific. What a profound thing to say without you knowing how true it was. Although you must have known it was true for that to come out, right? And it's such an amazing thing to notice. Amazing thing to notice. My brother has 2 grandkids. Um, they are soon to be 8 and 6. And it's been fascinating to notice how they've started to have an image about themselves. They've started to have an idea about what their likes and dislikes are, including their personality facets and things. And I'm going, inevitable. And, not my job to say anything, but I just find it interesting to notice how we're born free. In the 4-year-old you that you knew was closer to the true you than the one that you then had the ideas about. And I think that's you, me, and everyone, 8 billion of us that way. Very cool. Thank you, David. Really good to meet you.
Thank you.
And that was as well, I'm going back, David, to your explanation about, I wanted to say something, but I don't want to say something. And then, oh yeah, and then let go, and then something comes up. I mean, that's just a wonderful real time experience of what it is to let our intellect drop out and then something really cool to come up. It's a nice reminder. Well, we got time for another question, Steph, or are we going to start wrapping up?
Well, if there is one, I am happy to stay for it. Is there a last question or share?
Gail.
Gail.
Back again.
Hey.
This isn't about this though. But it's a question to all of you because I'm so new at this and I just joined. So now I want to sign up for every freaking workshop like available. Is that a good? And so I'm gonna go like, okay, so I'm like, get insights. Am I getting any insights about this? Like I'm trying to like immerse myself in it, but is that like the right thing to do? And that this is what I mean when I say I don't have like any wisdom pouring into me really. But it seems when I'm on, like when I was on here on the weekend or on here now, like I can feel this positive energy and I like that. So I want to be around it more. And so I don't know, I'm asking people like, is that what everybody does? Or is that okay? Or is, or what is this?
Well, I can just share what I think. Okay. And again, not empirically true. This is just my opinion. You can do what you want. You can do what you want. And I do mean it. However, there's something in what you said I think would be a nice thing for you to know. The feeling that you're feeling comes from within you, and it's yours. In other words, it's very easy to attribute the feelings of stillness and peace and joy and everything to being on the webinars and the other people and everyone who's sharing. It's not how it is. It's happening in you. How I know that for myself, I've sat in these things and lots of live three principles based seminars, trainings for a long time, and sometimes I'm really grumpy in them and everyone's amazing. And it's really good to notice that it is inside as opposed to from outside. It will look like, because of
Yeah,
how thought works in us, it will
that's
look like
that's
life is this way and it's not.
that's the that's the hard
Yeah.
thing to get, Yeah, that's the wild thing about this is like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? I'm just starting to see it, just little glimpses of it. But yeah, thank you.
Well, a glimpse can be enough because then it becomes a chasm without you having to do anything about it.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right? 'Cause I do too much thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I didn't know was a fundamental truth, and this one just looked like a fundamental truth to me in how the mind works. When we're on to ourselves and we see something like you've just said, future's got that covered. Your deeper mind is now already working that out. And it will show things in life that will back up that little glimpse that you've seen. Don't know when, don't know how. Might take minutes, might take years. No idea. Can't know. And things will look different without you even realizing. Because that's how insight works in the mind. And sometimes it's a really quiet, creepy thing. And just like, wait a minute, this is so different. They're as common as the insight. You know, those that people sometimes talk about, the big old
Yeah,
insights.
yeah.
I think the quiet ones that are just working themselves through are possibly even more common. And that mind that is in you and in me, because it's one mind and everyone's, the truth of who we are before we think of ourselves, that energy, that intelligence, it's got you covered. I've seen that too many times for myself to doubt it anymore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Reiki.
Well, Steph, I thought I'd read something from my favorite book to wrap us up.
Please do.
It's called The Missing Link by Sydney Banks. The Missing Link by Sydney Banks. And when I first, this is my original copy back in December of 2011. This got delivered, right? So it's to my house here. So it's now 13 years since this got into my grubby little hands. And for the first few years, I thought it was just like, what the heck is that? Now, I read The Enlightened Gardener by Sydney Banks and enjoyed that. And I read other principles book, notably the one I really took a lot from. And that was my little glimpse, was Somebody Should Have Told Us by Jack Pransky. But as the years went on, and I picked up The Missing Link again, it's the one book that doesn't leave my desk here in my office. I think that says a lot about me getting over myself. Me not taking what I think so seriously. But I wanted to share this for some reason when I was making my tea to get ready for it, and I open it on this page. This is The Missing Link, page 32. Some believe the brain and the mind are the same, but there has to be a power behind the brain to make it function. The brain and the mind are two entirely different things. The brain is biological, the mind is spiritual. The brain acts like a computer. Whatever you put into it is all you get out. This is logic. An important thing to realize is that universal mind and personal mind are not two minds thinking differently, but two ways of using the same mind. An important thing to realize is that universal mind and personal mind are not two minds thinking differently, but two minds using the same mind. To me, that is a really nice way to wrap up what I'm seeing about who I am before I think of me. I have the ability to think of many things about me. The spiritual essence of the universal mind and consciousness is an amazing thing to never be able to understand with my brain, and enjoy that mystery of the fact that here we are having this incredible experience of being able to take in everything from our senses, including the emotions as well as our 5 physical senses, for a certain period of time, and enjoy being in the world of form. And that to me makes a nonsense of living right. And I just get to live. Thank you.
Thanks, Wyn. Thanks everyone for coming. And
Yeah,
this,
thank you,
you.
everyone.
yeah.
Thank
What-
you.
Thank you, Wyn.
Thanks, Wyn.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Wayne.
See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye,
Take
everyone.
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.